Hello everybody, Note here with Lethal Yu-Gi-Oh! And today we have something pretty special for you. We plan on doing this about once a week from now on, and that is we're going to be doing anime character deck profiles. Most fitting, we started with Yugi, which means today we'll be doing a Dark Magician deck profile. If you guys look forward to seeing more anime character deck profiles built in the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Format, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let's just get into it though. Starting things off with the monsters, we run 3 copies of Dark Magician. He's Dark Magician, you have to run 3 of them. 3 copies of Apprentice Illusion Magician. Most people are starting to run 2 copies, and I'm not too sure about that. I think 3 is pretty good. She allows you to discard a card and then just special summon her for free, and when she's normal or special summoned, you can add a Dark Magician from your deck to your hand, which might not seem super powerful. It's like, why would you want to add a vanilla? But you do need Dark Magician in your hand in this deck a lot of the time. For cards like your Magician's Navigation, Eternal Soul, you want it in there, especially either in your hand or graveyard for Eternal Soul, obviously. Alongside that though, the last real monster in the deck is Magician's Rod, which is super powerful and one of the most crucial cards and gets hand trapped all the time. Past that, we're just running hand traps though, as our last bit of monsters with triple effect Veiler, 2 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and double Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. You know what hand traps do, you stop the LP and you win the game, it's that simple. Starting off with the spells though, we have a triple Dark Magic Circle. This gets you a once per turn banish whenever you summon a Dark Magician, which is pretty good. And when you activate it, kind of dualities your deck, and you get to add a Dark Magician or a spell or trap card that lists Dark Magician in its text to your hand. So it's a pretty strong card. Running 1 copy of Illusion Magic, once again you need to see Dark Magician in your hand every once in a while. You know, it's pretty important. So we want to make sure we're running plenty of copies, or plenty of cards to help us find them, and Illusion Magic is just one of those ones that can be searched off Magician's Rod, and then we contribute our Magician's Rod, add 2 Dark Magicians to our hand, and if we already have like a Navigation or an Eternal Soul set up, then we're ready to go with that. Next spell in the deck is 1 Dark Magic attack. It's Harpy's Feather Duster, and Eternal Soul can search it. That's all I need to say. Triple Pond of Extravagance. This card is bonkers. You've never cared about your extra deck in Dark Magicians, and this card obviously, you know, is gonna get abused in a deck that doesn't care about its extra deck. And this card is an absolute powerhouse. There's universally no like cost for this card in this deck. It's so good. Then 1 random Upstart Goblin. You can replace this with like a 3rd Crackdown. You can put in a different monster if you want to. You can put in, I don't know, Foolish Burial. That's pretty good. Magician's Rod, you know, you can send that. Or you can send a Dark Magician from your deck to the graveyard. Foolish Burial wouldn't be the worst thing either. Starting with the traps, though, we have 2 Crackdowns. This card is super underestimated, I think, this format. It's probably one of the best cards in control decks when it comes to like just single trap cards that do powerful effects on their own. Just stealing an opponent's monster they're about to pop off with or use its effect that's really broken is super powerful. And then we have 3 copies of Eternal Soul. Obviously, Eternal Soul is one of the main cards in Dark Magician. It allows you to summon one from your hand or not from your hand, from your hand to graveyard every single turn. And it can also allow you to search Thousand Knives or Dark Magic attack. Do keep in mind though, if it gets destroyed, your entire board does get blown up. So protect the Eternal Soul if possible. Magician Navigation. This allows you to special summon a Dark Magician from your hand and deck, and then except the turn it was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it to negate a spell/trap effect, or a face-up spell/trap effect, if you control Dark Magician. So it's a trap card, which means that it is a quick effect. So you can do that at any point to like negate any spell or trap your opponent controls, as long as you control Dark Magician, obviously. Next, after that, we have the triple copies of Solemn Judgment. This card is insane right now. I used it on Twin Twister a lot, so I guess that's the duality. It's a little insane, but I just kind of stopped Twin Twisters with it, huh? Regardless, this card does stop anything, and it's probably better than both Solemn Warning and Strike right now, in my personal opinion. After that, we put in 3 Storming Mirror Force. I actually had Lethal Hex to build most of this deck, and we were looking for like blowout trap cards that would just kind of win the game, and I was recommending Torrential Tribute while he said Storming Mirror Force was much better, or rather he thought. So he put it in, we tried it out, and it worked out pretty good. This is one of those cards that can definitely just blow your opponent out if they don't play around, and not a lot of people play around battle traps. And the final card in the deck, 1 skill drain. It's cheese. You just like turn off all your opponent's stuff, and you start banishing with Dark Magic Circle every turn, and it doesn't matter because you don't need your monster effects. We play normal monster beatdown the deck. Moving on to the extract, which is much less relevant than the main deck here. We have 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice, 1 Underclock Taker, 2 Link Smiters, triple Daybreaker, the Shining Magical Warrior, 1 Borreload Dragon, triple copies of Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, 1 copy of Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosag, and triple copy of Ebon Illusion Magician. So that is the deck. I'm not going to go over the side deck too much just because I don't think it's that important. You guys can make your own side deck and make your own decisions on what matchups you're getting and what you want to go against. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at these replays. So I'm not sure what our first replay here is against. Tinny, okay. I believe this is kind of Tinny. My opponent had a pretty bad opening though. They normal summon their Mapora and link off into the Monk of the Tinny, and then they try to activate Vessel of the Dragon cycle, and this card is very powerful, but I have the Ash Blossom. So their turn kind of stops right there. I start my turn off with a Pot of Extravagance, which also gets Ash Blossomed, and the classic play of setting 4. It is notable that 2 of my back row are Magician's Navigations, which are completely useless, and my opponent Twin Twisters on end phase and gets rid of 2 of my cards, one of them being the Navigation. So I'm down to 1 good back row now. My opponent links into a second Monk of the Tinny, and I hit them with the Storming Mirror Force, and yeah, this game is pretty slow right now, huh? Dark Magic Circle finds a Dark Magic Circle, and then the second one finds nothing. Finally we get a Magician's Rod though. We attack with our 1600 Magician's Rod, and then in the battle phase we go Illusion Magic to add 2 Dark Magicians. We activate our Magician's Navigation and summon 2 Dark Magicians to the field, dealing 5,000 damage, and then overlaying into Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. My opponent concedes on their turn there because they only had 1400 life points, and they would have died after just 3 effects. So here my opponent goes into the Berserker of the Tinny with a set Twin Twisters and the Flawless Perfection field spell up. I start my turn again with Pot of Extravagance. This time my opponent does not have the Ash Blossom for it. I summon Penkatrops, and my opponent tries to activate the Flawless Perfection, and I hit him with a lovely Ghost Ogre on his field spell. And from there, just normal stuff kind of starts happening. We take control of the board very aggressively here, using the Magician's Navigation and Dark Magic Circle combination to banish my opponent's only monster after he attempts to Twin Twister me. And here we knock him down 900 life points. He does get a copy of Tinny Dragon Ajna, which is super powerful. He goes into the Tinny Monk, and then I just Penkatrops him, and well, that's game. So second match up against Madolce here, going first again. We start our turn off with the Pot of Extravagance once again. This card is super powerful. We special summon our Apprentice Illusion Magician, which does get impermanence. Magician's Rod gets summoned after that. We find our Dark Magical Circle, and we find another copy of Dark Magician, setting our turn up with a Solemn Judgment, Storming Mirror Force, and Crackdown. My opponent starts with a Twin Twisters, and we Solemn Judgment that. And then he's kind of done, right? We crack down his Hoot Cake, and he just kind of stops. The Muleful gets banished. He's already running really low. But that Angeli was pretty good, getting Petting Sewer, and then Petting Sewer getting him out. Hoot Cake. We'll have to see what happens there, right? He gets Messenger Lotto, getting his Chateau. Chateau is activated, shuffling Hoot Cake and Magdalene into the deck. Here he links off into the Sistart, activate Storming Mirror Force. I did that, by the way, because his sister was at 2000 attack from the Chateau, and he could have just simply shuffled back his Hoot Cake into the deck to protect it, and my Apprentice Magician would have died. So, here, I top deck a Ghost Ogre, which, can't really do anything with, so we just kind of poke him for a little bit of damage, and we're trying to see how close we can get. And it didn't matter, because my opponent top decked nothing. So, to my surprise, he actually did make me go second. I guess that kind of makes sense, though, right? And he opens up pretty good. He opens up a really strong hand and goes straight into Sistart plus the new Eggsy, this lady right here, the Madolche teacher. But I have a pretty strong hand, right? Tons of traps. He had 2 Eradicators, a Magician's Navigation, Eternal Soul, and Crackdown, along with the setup Dark Magic Circle. So this is gonna be a pretty good game for me. He's got a lot to work through. That in-phase Twin Twister does suck, hitting my Crackdown and my Crackdown and my Magician's Navigation, but I do still manage to Eternal Soul and then Eradicator my opponent, which obviously is super effective, but that Tiramisu is brutal. He tries to spin back my back row with Tiramisu, and I go ahead and set a Storming Mirror Force. And I don't activate here because he puts his thing into defense, but I go ahead and immediate defeat. I top decked an Effect Veiler, and I wasn't doing anything that duel, and I was so far behind. So Magician's Rod is activating, adding Dark Magic Circle, which does find us an Eternal Soul amazingly. We go ahead to summon Apprentice Illusion Magician, discarding our Dark Magician to find a new copy, and then we set our Eternal Soul. My opponent starts their turn by special summoning Petting Sewer, and we hit it with a Veiler. Angeli then gets summoned to... Oh, right, we just passed. Yeah, I guess that happens. The Dark Magic Circle banished the Madolche Hoot Cake, by the way, if you weren't aware. So, anyways, though, we actually managed to get a pretty large board. We had a second Magician's Rod to go ahead and go into, and we went to Link Spider and then used our Eternal Soul to summon a new copy of Dark Magician, and we 2-0'd Madolche. Look, they're 2-1 to Madolche, excuse me, but we actually OTK'd. Pretty strong, right? I can't remember what game this is, but it is against Mech Knight Bay. This was the person I dueled the most because they had the most time. Oh yeah, they're playing Dino Mist. Once again, by the way, Pot of Extravagance, getting me 2 more cards, finding me a second Judgment and a Storming Mirror Force. They pop off with some plays. They go into Electromite, which I Judgment. They set up their Pendulum Summon, and then they only Pendulum Summon 1, so I just let it go through. Or rather, I summon Eternal Soul and block his attack, and he just kind of passes. Eternal Soul on my turn is going to search the Dark Magic attack, which I use to blow up his scales, and then I use Dark Magician to run over his monster, and he's out of resources already. Link Spider gets summoned, and Eternal Soul is used to bring back my Dark Magician. Solemn Judgment hits his Pendulum Summon. We use Eternal Soul to bring out a second Dark Magician, and that's game. And finally, the last game is against Altergeist. This one was the one meta game I did play. But pretty good starting. We have the Pot of Extravagance to get us a free +1, and then we find Magician's Rod, which gets Impermanence. My hand would have been much better. If we hadn't gotten Impermanence there, Magician's Rod would have made my hand so good. But my opponent has a pretty okay-ish hand. They go ahead and they just normal summon Marionetter, set their protocol, and then run into my Magician's Rod, which, I'm pretty fine with. Then they end their turn by setting a Judgment and a Spoofing. And then they activate Protocol in the standby phase, following it up with a copy of Personal Spoofing. And they shuffle back their Silcoitus, and then I Ghost Ogre the Spoofing, which they Solemn Judgment, which I Solemn Judgment, and Spoofing goes to the graveyard. Solemn Judgment negating Solemn Judgment, that's pretty cool, huh? Magician's Rod gets activated. I search a copy of Dark Magic Circle. That finds me a copy of Dark Magician, and now I use my Apprentice Illusion Magician to search another copy of Dark Magician. We hit him for 3,600 damage, putting him at 400, and that is game. But that was Altergeist going second, right? Altergeist will be able to do way more going first, or not. They'll just set Heavy Storm Duster and a Solemn Strike. Start my turn off with a Magician's Rod, which gets Effect Veilered. We Apprentice Illusion Magician, discarding our Panker Tops, and it gets met by Solemn Strike. So we set our Magician's Navigation, our Solemn Judgment in the end phase, hoping all goes right, and we get Heavy Storm Dustered. My opponent top decks a Personal Spoofing, unfortunately, and they use it to shuffle back their Sulcoitus, and they get Multi-Faker, special summoning it, and special summoning the Sulcoitus back from the deck. Pretty strong. My Pot of Extravagance top deck is insane, but it gets met by the Ash Blossom. My opponent does actually go Sulcoitus here to bounce my Magician's Rod, which is typically incorrect. You don't want to give the Magician's Rod back, but I think he was a little limited and he wanted to keep the Sulcoitus protected. So here Marionetter gets activated, gets his protocol, Multi-Faker, summons Sulcoitus. We've got the stuff going on, you know. I go into battle phase, Sulcoitus gets activated, bouncing my Eternal Soul, my board gets blown up. Unfortunate, right? It happens again, because I try to activate it. And Sulcoitus is just keeping me out of this game. My opponent sets another Spoofing, which I have a Ghost Ogre for. I normal summon a Veiler, and then activate Eternal Soul to go ahead and get out Dark Magician. Then Link Spider is made, and we get out Dark Magician once again. Look at my opponent's board, it's gone. What's he gonna do? How do Altergeist recover from this? Oh, Meluseek, right. Meluseek, pop Eternal Soul, blow up my board, make Link Karibo, add Marionetter. Yeah. Dang, this game's getting a bit grindy. My opponent has now searched their second copy of Manifestation. And one of their protocols. So we're getting pretty close to the late game. Against Altergeist, we are holding our own a little bit here. But then this Manifestation, I think, is what keeps us out of the game. They Manifestation, they special summon back Meluseek, which gets Multi-Faker, and then they get the Sulcoitus again. And that's where I concede. It's rough against Altergeist sometimes, but this time we get to go first again, right? Exciting. We have Rod, which gets Impermanence again. Our two back rows, Judgment and Deck Devi. We Ghost Ogre his Marionetter, and then Heavy Storm Duster gets activated. We're going to go ahead and activate the Solemn Judgment, negating it. We did this because of our Apprentice Illusion Magician having the Deck Devastation virus alive. I was ready to resolve this. Every card except Marionetter gets hit. So Deck Devi is super powerful against Altergeist. I run in for 3600 damage, or rather I try to, and Marionetter gets summoned. I'm not sure if that was the best use of Manifestation, but Deck Devastation virus gets played here, and he is down to about nothing. But Magician's Rod gets run over by the Marionetter. He brings it back to Manifestation to help push a little bit of damage, which, you know, I mean, might be worth it, right? I try to go Magician's Rod, and they activate Protocol, or Manifestation's affecting Graveyard then to banish itself and add another Manifestation back to the hand. They get Meluseek back, pop my deck, Devastation Virus, and then go into Link Karibo, activating Protocol in the standby phase to special summon Multi-Faker and Con Quarry. Extravagance finally goes off, and it does get me the two draws, and it's really good. It gets me Eternal Soul and Magician's Navigation. Unfortunately, my opponent top decks Ash Blossom for turn, and my Magician's Navigation gets negated, meaning I am completely hopeless and defenseless. Just kidding, I have Dark Magician in hand to summon from this Eternal Soul to protect my life points. We then blow my opponent's bankroll away with the Dark Magic attack, link into Link Spider, and then Soul Effect to bring back my Dark Magician, and we're in control again, right? Oh, there's an Extravagance. My opponent draws Meluseek, pumps my Eternal Soul once again, blowing up my board, going to Link Karibo and searching Marionetter once again. Then Marionetter just kinda kills me. Well, you can't win all the time, right? I think we beat the Tinny, we beat the Dino Mist, and we beat the Madolche. We didn't beat the Altergeist, but what can you do, right? We did go 2-1, we held our own, we got to the grind game almost every game. It wasn't just like this huge blowout. We had to kind of go back and forth and make some pretty interesting decisions, so I think it was a pretty fun duel, even though we lost. But yeah, guys, this is the deck, and this has been a Dark Magician deck profile and analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe once again, and have yourself a wonderful day. Peace.